Hello, and welcome back. This is Elle, and this is the Law of One Spiritual Advice Podcast. Today I have another quote from Ra from session 52.2. Today's topics are going to include seeking externally versus internally, technology's role in seeking, measuring and the intellect, and infinity and unity. So let us begin. So this is a quote from Ra, which can be found at llresearch.org. That is the home base of all this material. And I am going to read a section of it and then comment on it. So Ra session 52.2. And just so you know, I cut out the question in the beginning of this, but it's just because I can pull a section from it and make finer points about it and still not distort the material, in my opinion. So, all right, here we go. Ra. The use of technology to manipulate that outside the self is far, far less of an aid to personal evolution than the disciplines of the mind-body-spirit complex, resulting in the whole knowledge of the self in the microcosm and the macrocosm. To the disciplined entity, all things are open and free. The discipline which opens the universes opens also the gateways to evolution. The difference is that of choosing either to hitchhike to a place where beauty may be seen, or to walk, step by step, independent and free in this independence, to praise the strength, to walk and the opportunity for the awareness of beauty. The hitchhiker, instead, is distracted by conversation and the vagaries of the road and dependent on the whims of others, is concerned to make the appointment in time. The hitchhiker sees the same beauty, but has not prepared itself for the establishment in the roots of the mind of the experience. Ra, the Law of One, session 52.2. End of quote. In this quote, Ra speaks about UFOs and the questioner's excitement with understanding of UFOs. I pulled a section of the quote about technology which we can extrapolate and apply to the general technology in our lives. This was channeled in the 1980s, and we have a substantial jump in the advancement of technology since that time. I assume that we can apply the same lessons to our technology which we have right now, such as the phone you're likely receiving this message through. So my opinion here is that Ra's saying the outer technology is capable of manipulating that energy that is outside the self, but ultimately that is child's play to someone who instead chooses the disciplines of the personality to seek the heart of self and realize that it's one with the entire creation. In one circumstance, the person who exclusively uses technology is seeking outside the self and is reliant on outside circumstances to work out so that they can keep seeking what they deem as the truth. On the other hand, you have someone who knows truth and power comes from within, and to seek it from within means the outer circumstances will change as they will, but the seeker is seeking internally. The outside world is only noise to them. Maybe not noise even. The outside world more so just speaks beauty and truth and perfection at all times, because the Creator is perfect, and so when you look out at the world, you see perfection, even though it might not seem that way. But that means you're not there yet. So it's not that we're always here to create perfection as much as we're here to realize the perfection in every moment, even when things get dark, maybe especially when they get dark. The way I interpret the last part of the quote, where they speak of the hitchhiker, which I already spoke about a little bit, but the hitchhiker is the one who's relying on things outside the self, like technology, even drugs you may consider. It's sort of an outside technology. You just have to think of it that way. Open your mind to what technology can be, what the word is. So the hitchhiker is the one who's relying on things outside the self and will see some of the same beauty that the inner seeker sees, but the realization of that beauty and the truth will only be partial, meaning that they'll see the same beauty and truth, which is what Ross says. They say that they see the same beauty and truth, but they won't have the capacity or the discipline to integrate the experience, such as that last sentence indicates. Hitchhiker sees, this is quote, the hitchhiker sees the same beauty, but has not prepared itself for the establishment in the roots of mind of the experience, end of quote. And so the truth is possibly experienced or seen for the hitchhiker, but it can't sink into the roots of the tree of mind where it can create the change in consciousness that the catalyst was intended to do. Therefore, like in another quote from Ra, they indicate something about the seeker asking for truth, the truth being received, but it just rattles around in the brain, not finding a home, and eventually is lost or ignored at the peril of the seeker. The seeker keeps asking and keeps getting the same message, but because the message is not being used or integrated, the seeker feels stuck and annoyed that they keep getting the same message. Thus the catalyst has gone awry or astray and has created a negative feedback loop. This feedback loop sometimes goes too far and can manifest as sickness. Since the inner lesson is not being grasped, it must manifest and be given to the outer body, so it can no longer be ignored. And what does Ra say is the most common thing the new seeker asks for and receives and ignores? Meditation. Through meditation and contemplation, we give time and respect to our daily catalyst so that the catalyst of the lesson finds its spot in our mind and we can move on to another lesson. So you might take this opportunity to hopefully understand the importance of a daily meditation, or at the very least, quiet times of contemplation and focus. As we meditate, we focus our intent for the moment and for our lives. To reestablish that intent daily is a powerful thing to do. Ra also mentions somewhere else about the measure and pen. In the quote posted, they talk about the hitchhiker worrying about arriving on time. This is a related concept in my opinion. Someone who's obsessed with measuring and proving is bound to miss the magic of infinity. For example, when I say the word infinity, you might think of a really large number. This is your intellect trying to measure everything. The truth of unity, though, is oneness. To have infinity, there is no number I can reference and show you as proof that this is infinity. This makes the word basically useless. Ra says it has no referent or meaning. So how do we perceive infinity? By realizing that although infinity may be infinitely growing, in essence, it's still one thing. This one thing is the creator, is us, is everything. This is the idea of the law of one. You may seek outside yourself and see an infinity of circumstances, and some of it may be true, but the larger truth is that everything you see is unity, is you, is the creator. There's nothing but the creator. And in that, I will leave you in the love and light of the one infinite creator. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoyed this podcast. If you appreciate my freely given work here, I freely receive you over on my Patreon account, and I'd be very grateful. Tune in again on Friday for the next podcast. We're doing this Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Thanks, everybody. Much love.